Okay, great. So recording now. We'll wait till I think we're going to have others, right? I haven't heard from Sabah or Johnny or Maria that they won't be joining us. So we'll assume that we've got some more joining. Does somebody want to send some messages to those people? One message per person. We want to do that. Who can send to Sabah? Who can send to Johnny? Who can send to Maria?
I can send to Maria.
You can send to Maria. I'll send to Johnny.
I'll send to Slalin.
Great. Okay, perfect. So, okay, great. And we've got Maria now and Sabah now. Perfect. Okay, great. And I just messaged Johnny. So, okay, great. So let's go ahead, since we're mostly here, let's go ahead and do the agreement now first. So can we all agree to make this video public by putting a thumbs up or giving a verbal agreement? Renasia, can we hear from you? Well, maybe Renasia is busy since she didn't answer before. We'll come back to Renasia when we see her. So, okay, thank you guys so much for your verbal agreement. And Johnny just sent a message that he's coming. So, okay, we'll have Johnny soon. So first of all, oh, hey, Renasia, we just saw you there for a minute. Can we
I was asking you, you called my name. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can we just get your verbal agreement that we can make the video public?
Yes, yes.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. And hey, Johnny, thank you for joining us. I saw your message. Can we get your verbal agreement that we can make the video public?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Johnny. And just again, as always, please have your video on gallery mode and please have yourself on video as much as you can so we can all see each other. So first of all, let's start like I like to a lot lately. Lots of claps all around for the ways that everyone's been pulling together and all the activity that's been happening online and the chat and the ways you guys are working together as a team. I shared with Katie and Mariana and Maria yesterday and the executive team. I want to share with all of you, that I think, really for the first time in the history of the project, to the degree that I felt it last week, that I felt like you guys had such a handle on what was happening with the ways that you were communicating back and forth in the chat, and Katie and Mariana and Maria were kind of directing the action and answering all the questions and making sure everything was getting done, that I felt like I didn't even have to say anything or chime in, but I could just, sit back and focus on other things and really relax, about that, know that it was handled by you guys. And it was such a nice feeling and such a great feeling. So I want to, especially acknowledge and thank, all of you guys, and in particular, the leaders, Katie and Maria and Mariana, for, what you did to really create that. And I really honor and appreciate how much all of you have evolved so quickly in this role, right? It hasn't been that long that you've been leaders, but I think you've really taken to it. And I think that you've really, demonstrated how you've learned and developed rapport with the team and really, figured out the systems that we're working with and just all the things that we need to do to be really effective as a team. And I think it's been great for all of the team members too, that all of you have been, right there, and you've been asking the questions and doing the work and diving in, being part of the process. So definitely want to give a separate thanks and acknowledgement to all the team members as well. Renasia, Alexis, Sabah, Johnny, you guys have been amazing. And thank you, for all of your contributions and just the whole team showing up as a team. So, with that in mind, I'm going to do my best to just hang out and watch you guys have your meeting and let you guys, do whatever you're doing, because it's great. And don't mind me, I'll just be over here in the corner, and please take it away, combined team.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I guess I will go ahead and share the agenda. up. Okay. Okie dokie. All right, so we did, yeah, make sure you're on gallery mode. Everyone's here. And Johnny, are you good doing the minutes for this week again?
Yes, 1 second. I'm not on my computer right now.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. And also, in accordance with it being Veterans Day this Thursday, we have decided not to do a full team meeting this week. So be free. Have a good Veterans Day.
Happy
Okay,
Veterans Day to any veterans watching this. We honor and appreciate your service.
Absolutely. Okay. So I guess first we want to talk about the time tracker. I asked you guys to fill out last week's because we want to do, so essentially what we want to figure out right now is the metrics of like, okay, so if Jared has, 5 hours worth of a video, and we know that, say, Alexis can do 1 hour processed in 2 hours, we can say, okay, you do 1 hour, and then, okay, we have 4 hours left, and then we divide that up amongst, the time blocks that everybody else has, if that makes sense. So essentially, we're trying to figure out the metrics and how to piece together, how long Jared has first, or well, sorry, kind of going backwards, figuring out, okay, so Alexis has 10 hours, she can process 2 hours for 1 hour. Okay, that means that she can process 5 hours this week. It's that way, sorry. So I want to figure out, okay, each team member can put aside this much time for video processing. That means that Jared can put together like 5 hours worth of content, and then we can process it and get that out. So that's why we're trying to find out the metrics. So just looking at what we had last week, like, okay, so if it took me, an hour to do this 11-minute, but that's not, okay, sorry. If it took me half an hour to do these 2-minute videos, and 25 minutes to do that 12-minute video, then if I have an hour to set aside, I could do 8 minutes. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Well, with the 8 minutes, can you tell us the math on that? Because I'm not sure where the 8 minutes of video came from what you just showed us. It looks more like 5 minutes or something like that.
Well, okay, so if it takes me, I was doing 100 minutes per hour. That's sad. Okay, so yeah, it'd be more like 5 minutes. That's my bad.
Okay,
Oof.
but now we understand. So yeah, so that's great. So basically, like what you're saying, if I'm understanding it correctly, and I think I am, is that we need to know, like, essentially for each minute of processed video, how many minutes it's going to take us to actually do the processing. So like you're saying, in an hour, you can process 5 minutes of recorded video, essentially. So then in adding up all of what people can process with their hours, then it helps determine like how much video I can put out there that can actually get processed during the week, right? That's what you're saying, Katie?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, so does everybody follow that, or are there any questions about how Katie's doing the calculations on that? Okay, great. I guess, can you come off of the sharing and ask everybody to do a thumbs up? I want to make sure that everybody's following and we're not losing anybody. So can everybody do a thumbs up if they're understanding and following everything? Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you, guys.
All right. So going off of that, another task that we need to have this week is we need to figure out how we're going, or not how, but who is going to actually put together the video clips of that document that we all made as a group. Let me click it. This one, if you don't remember. So who here would have the capability of doing that first off? I guess we don't have Alexis here.
So I'm just realizing, Maria, you had asked me to send you the original video the other day, and I never did that, right? Because I was looking for it and I wasn't finding it. And then now I'm just realizing I never sent it to you. So let me make a note, because I know we talked about you potentially using Premiere Pro. So yeah, I think in terms of who can do it, I think let's have somebody from the production team be working on it, since that's a production function. So Maria, you can either choose to do it, or you can, work with somebody else for next, Renasia, Alexis, whoever wants to do the production. But let me make a note to get the video to you, the original video.
I think that for me, it's fine. Maybe if I need help, I can tell them. I can ask them in the production team.
Yeah, so, okay. So I think what's good, since you're mentioning it, Maria, I think, if you do it yourself with Premiere Pro, then you can create a tutorial for what you're doing and how you're doing it, because then, like we discovered, any students can get like a 30-day free version, which will allow you guys, anybody, to do it at least for the next month as a start. So I think, yeah, I think does that work for you? I'll work on getting you the video. I think I'll be able to get it to you tonight, or, oh, wait a second. Now that I think about it, I think I actually, on my phone, I uploaded it to Dropbox, but I didn't know where in Dropbox it was. So actually, let me check. It might actually be uploaded to Dropbox for you. I'll check while you guys are talking. So we may have it there ready for you. Okay, please continue.
I wanted to ask you, sorry, Katie, I wanted to ask you really quick. Do you want me to add transitions, or just like put the clips next to each other, the final clips?
Do you want to add, what did you say, Maria? I didn't hear.
Transitions, like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, it's a good question, because there should be some kind of transition, but I'm not even sure which. So I would say yes, do something, I guess, that's a little visual, that is kind of breaking it up so that it makes sense to people that they are separate, ideas, because it's not going to naturally run together. And then we're going to see, because maybe we want to create like some more script to say in between the different ideas, or something like that, to make it more understandable. But I think right now, I just want to be able to watch it all the way through, so that I can, understand what we've got to work with, and then we can, take it from there. Sound good? Okay. Okay, please continue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So another big task that we have, that's going to be kind of a whole team effort, is we are going to need to put together a kind of overview of what we've been doing as a team that we can put on the website, and for our own personal profiles, if I'm remembering correctly, Jared. Does that sound right? You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, I was muting to try to find the video. Yeah, we're packaging everything up to be able to, have it available to the world, right? Like we talked about last week, and we talked about it again in the executive team, because just to kind of catch you guys up, last Thursday, I was sharing with you that, it seemed like we needed to create the separation between the framework of Uniting for Action and then the solutions that are getting developed by the framework. And that the whole vaccine considerations project was really just a model example of how we use the framework. And we always talked about that from the beginning, that it was just a model example. But I was always envisioning that Uniting for Action was going to be doing many of these models. But I've come to realize, just within the last week in talking to different prospective leadership council members, that so many of those people, hold on just one second. Like repeatedly, I was hearing from people as they were saying, I went to I'm very interested in what you're doing. I want to transform the world. I think the idea is great. And I went to your website, and the very first thing I saw on your homepage was this thing about vaccines. And basically they said, it really doesn't matter to me whether you're for or against, neutral, and any of that stuff. It doesn't really matter so much, because as long as vaccines are front and center, it's not a website that I want to send to my, friends or post on my social media that I'm being a leader of this organization that's all about vaccines. They're like, it's too polarizing of a topic for me to be so strongly associated with. So it just made me realize that, we as an organization are essentially holding that liability, as we're closely connected with the vaccines at this point. And I know all of you guys came in because of the vaccine. So I understand, the attachment as for me, that this has been all I've been existing within the last year. And what we're doing now, as we discussed last Thursday, and again, came to more clarity in the executive team meeting, is we are taking everything that we have in the vaccine considerations project and packaging it all up in a way that's really presentable. So it's going to be on the website in a way that tells the whole story, right? Like we'll be able to kind of march through the timeline of the semester and see all the different analyses that we did and see all the, documents and results that we created. So somebody, will be able to browse all that we've done, not only this semester, but other semesters. And we're going to have to see how we can put all that information online as well. It may, be up to you guys in a lot of respects, because I don't think we can necessarily expect past members to put in hours now when they're into their new life and they're not putting in hours regularly, right? So the first thing we're going to do is kind of package up everything that we've worked on as a team. And it's the reason we're starting now this week kind of early, because we have 4 weeks left before most of you are leaving. Most of you are leaving around December 7th is the kind of the end date for everyone, between like December 7th and December 14th. So that's basically exactly 4 weeks. And we know we have Thanksgiving in the middle of those 4 weeks as well. So, and I know you guys have finals in the middle of those 4 weeks as well. So we have, not necessarily a ton of time to do a ton of stuff, which is why we're starting right now to kind of package everything up and make sure that we're kind of like, packing everything up sufficiently so that then it can continue to stand there and people can have access to all of our work the way that we described, so that anything that we've done will be available for anybody to pick up the ball and run with it. All the lists of the experts will be there, the contacts will be there, everything will be there. So, that's what we have to do basically as an organization right now is our priority, as Katie was just sharing. And so as Katie was just sharing, there's still so much work to keep processing videos and keep doing things that I don't want to totally stop that. So that's why we want to get really clear about the time tracker so that we can know how much time we're putting in to package everything up and how much time we're putting into, processing videos. And as Katie was saying, in addition to, like, for example, having the research team page that kind of chronicles everything we did as the research team. And then we have the production team page, which chronicles everything we did as the production team. That each one of you, if you choose, it's up to you if you don't want to, but each one of you has the opportunity to have your own profile page on the website as well that will show all the work that you did. That will be your portfolio online, basically, of what you've done during the project. So that's where we're kind of leaving things off and then leaving the door open for the next generation of students that basically will be using the system as users of the system. And I know I shared this before, but just to clarify, and this is kind of the final, decision. We were just kind of speculating about everything last Thursday, but now that we've talked with the executive team and come to conclusions, what we're doing is we're having students that are joining. Let me take another quick drink. Actually, any questions about anything I've shared before I get into this next part? Okay, so we're students that are going to be joining the project are now going to be working on supporting the infrastructure, the framework coming together, and that comes down to like everything we've been doing. It's still the same teams, right? It's still the research team, and it's still the production team and the outreach team and the recruitment team, and there's going to be other teams actually, like strategic planning and strategic solutions development team and website programming team, and these other teams that are actually going to need to be there to develop all of this infrastructure. And simultaneously, each student that is working, within the project has the opportunity, if they choose, to have their own kind of pet project, for lack of a better term, special interest project, where, everybody gets to choose whether it's maternal health or health equity or vaccines for kids or whatever it is, that any student showing up to be a part of the project can tune into that channel, if that channel already exists, or start building out that channel and start to populate it exactly as we've done, with experts, with articles, with nonprofit organizations, all of that. And then as that student is reaching out if they want, because again, they can do our whole process, our whole framework. Let me actually share the framework with you guys because it's new to this team. So I shared this a bit last night. Let me share it with everyone else. So whatever the issues are that you're interested in, that anybody's interested, you use the channels to tune into that, right? And then once you tune into the channels, let's actually add that. Once you tune into the channels, that's where the collection of the nonprofits, the foundations, the corporations, and the individuals that are interested in that channel of information, that's where you'll find them there, right? That's where, and we should have experts on here too, actually. Okay, so when you tune into the channel, you'll find all of the ones aligned around that interest area. And that's where, just like individuals can choose to be a part of that channel, then corporations can choose. And basically what they're doing, what each of these stakeholders will be doing in the long run, we're not there yet, but in the long run, they'll pool their pledged resources. So if you're an individual and you are giving, you're putting $100 a month into the collective resource pool, which is actually what we're asking of the leadership council members right now, to demonstrate the use of the system by putting $100 per month into the resource pool. In the future, what we want to have happen is we want 100% of all of the resource pool money coming from the individuals to be distributed to all of the issues and all of the solutions that are being developed. So in other words, when you put in $100, it won't be that like Uniting for Action is, using 20 to cover costs or that sort of thing. We're gonna have, 0 of those dollars eventually come to Uniting for Action. We're obviously not there yet. But the idea is that we not only develop business contracts, but in particular, corporate support, as we've talked about sponsorship, right? And the fact that sponsors can sponsor each of these channels individually if they have a specific channel that they're interested in supporting, or they can sponsor the whole system overall, which is really, you know, kind of probably going to be the most appealing to most sponsors, because they all want to appear to be responsive to the, you know, the green, you know, needs of society, and, you know, being socially conscious and all of that. And yet most corporations are very challenged to choose issues that they feel like won't turn some of their, you know, customers off, right? It's like, no matter what the issue, it seems like there's one side and then there's another side, and any corporation that tries to choose an issue has, most of them have challenges, you know, in receiving cancel culture backlash, right? So essentially what we're providing is we're providing cover for all of those corporations, because what they can do is they can pledge support of the framework that's helping to develop solutions without them being attached or associated with any particular solution or any particular issue. So you guys see the power of the attraction that we have for corporations to be like, wow, this is amazing. This can really transform society. And we don't have to go out on a limb, you know, around some issue in order to be progressive and show that we're interested in supporting this. So I really believe that that corporate support is going to be there on a massive level pretty soon. And that corporate support, sponsor support, even merchandising, I think is funny enough going to be a very big part of this. And I won't get into all that now, but maybe next week, because I think you guys will be excited about that too. And Maria, we have to have that conversation, since I know you have the custom shirt company. So the corporate support will be able to cover our operational costs, right? Our technology build out, our staffing, our legal, like all our costs of doing business. So that, again, that's how we'll be able to have 100% of the individual contributions go distributed to the different issues. So does everybody follow that and understand, you know, where we're going with this as quickly as we can? And then, you know, side note, like I shared with you guys the other day, thank you, Alexis, for the thumbs up. Like I shared with you the other day, still just ruminating around, I don't know, but it just seems like there's going to have to be at some point some parallel organization or parallel nonprofit or something like that, that is, you know, actually using the system in really specific ways. But this Uniting for Action will be able to stay neutral, because it'll just be the framework, and it won't be, you know, advocating for any issues or even putting the content in, right? It'll be the users of the system that are putting the content in and addressing the issues. So that's where we're going with it. And then to go back to this, and then I'll wrap up and let you guys continue, but I just want to make sure everybody has the context, is that, so you've got the pool of pledged resources. So this is, again, where you are putting in $100 a month. You say, I want 50% of my you know, contributions to go to health equity in marginalized communities. And so then, you know, $50 is going into that solution development area, let's say. So now, based on your pledge, your individual pledge, along with the different corporations that are pledging in that particular interest area, and the different foundations and the different nonprofits, what we've got here now is, now we've got our collective pool of resources, right? These are all the resources that are pledged to this one issue area. We haven't talked about solutions yet. Now we can, for the first time, see what all the resources that we have to work with, so that we can create a solution that maximizes and optimizes all the available resources at hand. You guys see where we're going with this? You see the power of that? And you see how, as we've talked about in the past, how it's almost the opposite in such a crazy way of what our society looks like now, where for these huge issues like climate and oceans and whatever, you have thousands or tens of thousands of organizations that all are forced essentially to you know, elbow their way in and compete against the nonprofit to the right of them and the nonprofit to the left of them, to carve out their space of the donor dollars that they need and the sponsorship support they need and the media attention that they need just to keep going as an organization, right? So in that environment where everyone's trying to take care of, themselves, and they're not on, at least at scale, coming together collectively and cooperatively, when all of our pool of resources across society are getting dispersed into all of these organizations without any collective strategic plan, you can see that the difference is just like, it's night and day, right? And so again, this is the situation that we're setting up. Now we've got our pool of resources. Now that we have the pool of resources that we can figure out how to work with that, now is when we have the issue experts, right? So again, let's look at health equity for marginalized communities. You guys know that, and you may know some of their names, and especially if you did the research in this area, is that, there's these experts that have been, studying health disparities and health equity in marginalized communities for years, for decades, for everything, and not just individuals, but nonprofits and other entities. So those are the ones coming together to, define best practices, to talk about solutions at scale. Like, okay, if we've got all of this to work with, what can we do? This is where the discourse happens, right? Amongst the experts. And that's why we're building out in part, why we're building out the Experts for Action platform, because when we have the Experts for Action platform, then we're plugged into those experts to be able to have a discourse with them, right? So we're leading up to this discourse with the experts around what they're expert in. And not only just the experts, but that's where, as we've talked about, we're adding in the solution development experts and the strategy experts, because even though all of those people know, everything there is to know about health inequities, they don't necessarily know everything there is to know about creating global strategic solutions and executing strategic solutions and following plans and developing plans and all of that sort of thing. So we want those experts involved in the process with them, so that the issue experts are bringing the expertise, the solutions experts are bringing how you translate that into projects and project management and all down the line. And that's where they're defining these prospective collective strategic solutions. So let's imagine out of this process with the issue experts and with the solutions experts that they come up with, let's say, 10 choices. And maybe that's even the norm, is that there's 10 choices to choose from for prospective solutions. And then everybody that has some skin in the game, some investment in this collective pool, gets to share where they would go ahead and pledge their resources amongst those solutions. So solution number one, you have $50, devoted to that solution. You say, of my $50, I would give all 50 to this one solution. And to the second solution, I wouldn't give any of my dollar. I don't want that solution. This other solution, I would give $25 a month. So again, you're pre-pledging your support across the range of solutions, and then that can get whittled down to the solutions that are essentially getting fully funded, right, by the crowd. So essentially you can have like between 2 and 4 fully funded, fully pledged solutions, and not just at 100% pledging, but 120% or whatever the overage needs to be to make sure that, if we don't have 100% of pledges coming through, that it's still fully pledged, right? So we account for that and make sure that like fully pledged is fully pledged. And then those are the solutions that go forward, and we'll still probably have more than one, probably at least 2 to 4, so that we can have competing solutions, so that we can see like which ideas are winning, which approaches are winning, which is doing better. And we can do, resetting and reallocation of resources, and we can constantly be doing the best we can because we've got, more than one thing. There's not a, monopoly of solution essentially, right? So everything I just described is a framework, that we're focusing on holding, so that within that framework, within that process, any issue can be addressed, whether it's a neighborhood issue or a global issue. A similar sort of process can be used. And everything I just described to you is still like a solution. In a way, I'm kind of, breaking that what I said, we're not going to be solution developers, we're just going to be framework creators. Well, we're still the solution developer until the others show up with their solutions. But as soon as we can, we take this solution that I just shared with you, and we have all the experts pick it apart and say what should be added and what should be changed until there is a solution that the crowd has sourced itself, right? And the crowd is sourcing these solutions, and the crowd is implementing these solutions. And that's the whole framework within which we're creating all of this, right? And so I just really want to get clear with everybody, because that's the clarity that we have, right now as an organization that's setting our path, and is from the leaders that I've talked to, the prospective leaders that I've talked to so far about it, and I'm still going back to some of them that had, some challenges. It seems like what I'm describing sufficiently addresses their concerns to be able to have them want to support the framework and have everything else be in context, and have all of these, students in particular, again, just to get it back to the students, because this is where we're at in terms of recruitment, in terms of mentoring that you'll be doing to the students coming in, is that the students get to be on these teams, and we'll expand our teams into new teams appropriately. And the students get to come together and find each other around these channels. So we have the whole framework where any one student can use, the entire framework. And if they have enough time and energy, they can, go through the whole thing, and kind of like you guys did, just start with an issue topic and then look up experts and then find their contact information and reach out to those experts and develop, a panel discussion and record it and put it online and work to develop, so one student in theory can use the whole thing. But the idea really, as you know, is as quickly as possible to develop the collaboration. So essentially each student kind of camps out in the channels that they're interested in perhaps doing something within. And as each student gets added to the project, or even individuals out in the world, it doesn't have to be students, although we know students will lead the way, that the students are finding each other around the channels. And so, 2 students, 5 students, 10 students are finding each other in the health equity channel, and they're deciding to work together. And now that whole group of students is working together to create and implement a solution using the framework. And then, as we talked about, the ones that are students or are on our team, then they'll come into the outreach team and they'll come into the research team with all of the feedback that they've received, the feedback they have to offer, with the ways, they've been tweaking the framework, and the way that, they feel the framework could be improved to serve their needs better, different screens on the website, different data being collected, all the different things we need to keep improving the framework itself. So this is the environment within which we're going to be operating, is that interns will come in and will help tweak the framework. They'll be on all of these teams helping to, implement these team actions within the framework. And then they'll also, as much as they're interested, it won't be a requirement, but as much as they're interested, they'll be able to do the type of work that you guys have done to research a topic of interest to them, to find experts in those areas, to reach out to the experts in those areas, all of those different types of things, develop videos, all of that, all with the support, of others. So that's essentially how all of this is going to unfold. And also it'll be the other side too. I think as long as we can manage it internally, I think we'll be able to, that there can be some students that are not participating on our teams, but are just simply using the framework to execute a project that they're interested in seeing alive in the world. And so they won't have to be a part of team meetings. They can just use the framework, and there'll be lots of people. Anybody can just show up and use the framework, right? But as much as we can, for those students that are doing it as an internship or as a practicum or what have you, then that gets to be another data point for us, right? That gets to be another implementation of the system, so that people can see what it looks like to actually use the framework in practicality and create results using the framework. And then, that's one case study to look at, but also, again, it's another data point when we have more and more and more people using the system. And then we have all these data points of what works well, what didn't work well, all of that, to keep refining the system. So I think that describes everything in a nutshell in terms of where we're at right now, in terms of how things have evolved very quickly within the last less than a week. And also to give you guys a really good sense of where we're at right now, what we want to do to package everything up, what there is to do. As you can see, I mean, what I just created is a very good, relatively tight amount of video that we're going to process, from what I just shared. And, I think that might be good enough. We can just use a 10 or 15 minute clip right there, something like that, or break it up into a few. We'll see. We'll let you guys decide. So there's still going to be some of this video processing because we've got a lot to share with the world right now and a lot to get the world on board with. And we're going to package everything up, and we're going to have new people starting to join us. Rebe joined us the other night in our recruitment team meeting. So that's our, she's our first, so to speak, spring recruit that's here and showing up and ready to be mentored and supported and support us, our transition. And it pretty much sets what there is for us to be working on and focusing on for the rest of the project. So is that clear to everybody? Any questions, any comments about any of that? I'd love to hear some of your feedback. Thank you, Alexis, for the thumbs up. I'd like to hear some of your feedback in terms of what you guys think. Is this exciting to you guys? You guys see like the real scale starting to happen and the real potential for what we're on the verge of here?
Yes, I believe it's very exciting. And I think that with all you said, we can like have a perspective of like how the project is going to grow and everything that's going to happen. I think it's going to be amazing. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you for saying all that, Marianne. I really appreciate that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think, well, it's definitely a shift from what we've been doing. I think it's gonna set up future students, and I think that's pretty cool. It's like, sowing seeds that you might not see come to fruit, but somebody is gonna benefit from what you're doing, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, and you will see it. You may not be an active member of the team, but it will be out there in the world, and you'll be able to come back and tune into where we're at any moment. So I appreciate that you're feeling that, Katie, and you're feeling like you and the others are creating the foundation for others to build on in the future. That's great that you're feeling that. I appreciate that. Awesome. Anyone else before we continue? Okay, great. So I'll just say, that as I talked with the leaders last night in the executive team, Katie, Mariana, and Maria, we talked about this being our last combined meeting and then splitting up into the separate teams. And I have to say, I'm having second thoughts about it right in this moment. And I want to leave it a little bit open for discussion with the team leaders and with the rest of the team, because I feel like, there is going to be, and maybe what we do is I don't know if we can do it in this context. I was going to say breakout rooms. That's a concept that somebody was sharing with me today, where we can have the combined meeting and then each team can go off into their breakout room. But I think that some of you overlap with multiple teams, right? For sure. So I think, let me just throw it out there. The reason that I'm backtracking on it a little bit is that, as I shared last night, I feel like the teams do need to talk about all that's happened and go back through like our minutes from our past meetings and find like all the highlights and all the things that there is for us to put together and present. So I do feel like that work needs to be done on an individual team level, or each team needs to communicate about that individually. But also I feel like we are in a bit of a collective process. And like I was just sharing before, and we talked about last week, that you guys are really grooving as a combined team. And it seems like it might be a really bad time to break up the team when you guys are really, doing so awesome, the peak awesomeness of team, to then go and break up the team. I'm not sure that would be the smartest thing to do. So let me just put it out to you guys and let you guys tell me what your thoughts are about whether to separate into teams or whether to continue with our combined team. So Alexis, I see you say, I agree. So you agree, Alexis, that maybe we should keep the combined team because it's working well?
Yeah, to me personally, I think I think that it's been flowing very, very well. With everybody being together, and it keeps an open communication between all the teams instead of it being like up in the air what the other team feels.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea.
I appreciate that, your thoughts around that. I thank you for sharing that. Who else has ideas they'd like to share about it?
So I also think that it's a great idea. Maybe what we can do is that each particular team continues working on what they need to do, like the research and the production and the outreach, but we also have tasks as a combined team.
Yeah, I think it works for the combined team to divide up the video processing. I think you guys are getting good at that. And again, we still have, some tweaks to do. Like Katie was outlining for us, we want to get really good with the metrics still and be really on top of that, as you guys know, as we talked about. So I think that, well, let me hear from the others of you. Katie, Mariana in particular, want to make sure I hear from you guys, as well as Renasia and Sabah, if you guys would like to say anything about it.
I agree, like with Maria, like I think that we're doing like very, very well, like everybody together. But I also think that we can the tasks that we need to get done like within our team. I think we can work on that. Even though we're having the combined team.
Yeah.
So yes, I think we can handle both.
Yeah, I appreciate you thinking that and feeling that, having the confidence around that. Do you think that the individual team tasks and such can be figured out through the chat and through do you think that there needs to be some kind of physical meeting, maybe, again, whether it's a breakout session, whether we break out into 3 teams for the last 20 minutes of this meeting, or is there, or can it be done through the chat, or what do you guys think is the mechanism that can if we just stay with 1 hour-and-a-half combined team meeting like we've been doing, then what is the mechanism that the individual teams can deal with the individual tasks? What do you think about that?
I think that we can work through the chat. I think that if we communicate well, we can get everything done through the chat, so it's not necessary to have more meetings. So I think it's easier.
Yeah, that's really good. I appreciate you saying that. As you know, I was sharing in the in the executive team meeting yesterday, I want to cut down on meeting time, if anything, rather than add meeting time, for sure. So we definitely wouldn't have separate meetings in addition to the combined meeting. It would have to be one or the other, or dividing it up or something like that. Katie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think especially since pretty much everybody here is on at least 2 teams, it makes sense, to combine. And I think a good mechanism could be if we have something that's particularly complicated that a team needs to do, we could carve out 5-10 minutes per team just to do a quick okay, here's what we need to do, quick explanation. If you have any questions, put in the chat. That kind of, I think that's what we tried to do for the first one, and it kind of, since we all had the same combined task, it just kind of evolved later. But just having a set block of time where research talks, production talks, outreach talks.
I think that's a good point. So why don't we reserve that now? So it sounds like we're on the same page in terms of 1 combined and then maybe dividing it up. Before we come to a conclusion about this, Renasia or Sabah, anything that you guys want to add about this?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I like how we're pretty much doing it now. I feel like we're kind of all just working together really well, and it helps a lot to communicate better. So that's really my opinion on that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I appreciate you saying that, Renasia. Thank you. Sabah, anything you'd like to add? Well, maybe Sabah is indisposed for a moment. If you can hear us, Sabah, you can jump in whenever you get a chance. So the I think then what we'll do is let's plan that for, we'll have the same combined team meeting next Tuesday. And how much time do you guys think we ought to allocate to each team if you need it? So this will be like, for example, maximum of 15 minutes each or something like that. And but if you only need 5, we'll only take 5, or if you need 0, you need 0, but at least it can be available for each individual team. So what do you think? What do you guys think is a good maximum for each team? I guess it could even be like maybe up to 20 minutes. That would give us a half hour combined, although it's still going to be more combined stuff. How about 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes each? Is that good? And then you guys can actually, communicate in the chat in advance, and Mariana can say, I'm only going to take 10 minutes. So if somebody wants my other 5 minutes, they can have it, or something like that. So we can, we can adjust and have more if necessary, or something like that. Sounds good, everybody? Okay, great. So, okay, good. So I know I jumped in the middle of something, Katie, so I apologize, but I'm glad we got all that done. I know we needed to get all of that done at some point today. So now that all that's handled, take it away.
No, I asked for clarification, so that was good clarification. Yeah, so, okay, last thing from me is that I would like you guys to put together a list of projects that you would like to finish for your practicum. I think, everybody's competencies. I just need a list of projects so I can give it to Tatiana so she and I can be on top of that. And that's, I think, all I had for me. So Maria and Mariana.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think Katie pretty much said everything. The only thing that maybe we can share is the assignment that we were doing for today, that we divided like the whole team into 2 groups, and we got it done. So I think we can share that right now. So I'm just gonna share with you. Just 1 second.
Great, thank you for that.
All right. So here we had the video that we have, and we divided with the team. We had Sabah, Johnny, me, and Maria, and we divided like the video within like the minutes. And Sabah, she got like these timestamps. Johnny got his timestamps. I got mine, and Maria got hers. So I think that like we can put all of them together. We didn't like put all the time together to see like how much is gonna be in the end, but we pretty much got like a lot of timestamps with like good stuff that we can show for the career services. So yes, that was the wait just a second. So that was the assignment that we've been working on, and I don't know.
Did you guys figure out what timestamps you agreed upon, like we did last week?
Yes, so all of those we agreed, because we separated like, oh, from minute, I don't know, like minute 20 to minute 30, like I was gonna choose the timestamps, and so like each person chose the ones that they thought it was better, so we agreed that it was good. So
So let me make sure I'm understanding correctly. So you're saying that each of you chose a different part of the video to pull information out of,
yes, exactly.
and you divide it up that way?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so that's okay. Thank you for letting me know that, and thank you for letting me know that it wasn't clear that that's not exactly how I wanted to have it done, because what I wanted to have done, as we talked about, is having multiple data points like we did last week, where we looked at where there was agreement between the timestamps. Katie, can you pull up the document that you shared from last week where we had the matrix and we compared one person's timestamps to the other person's timestamps, and we found the ones that were generally agreed upon? That's the agreement that there is for us to have. So it's not agreeing that someone's going to do it from this part to this part. It's finding that this isn't a timestamp that people agreed upon, and this is a timestamp that people agreed upon. So right now you only have one data point for each timestamp, and that's not sufficient for us to have reliability in that timestamp. We need to have at least, multiple data point reliability around that. So that's a really fundamental concept of what we're doing with the processing of the videos. So if that wasn't clear before, and apparently it wasn't to you guys, that I want to make sure that that's clear now, and that we're going to have to, essentially go back and redo it or do it with a different video, because what you just shared isn't reflective of agreement around where people chose timestamps. Do you understand what I mean? We want to have multiple data points of processing the same video.
Yes, we can fix that. We can see the timestamps that other people got, and add a comment saying oh, I prefer this minute until this minute. So we can create the table with the other timestamps.
Yeah, the idea is that each person is processing the whole video, right? That's why we divided into 2 teams, so that you'd have 4 people processing that one video. We need at least 2, but I don't know that we're there yet in terms of our effectiveness to know that we can rely on just 2 yet. So I wanted to have the 3 or the 4 to be able to get multiple timestamps. So Renee, the assignment we did is incorrect. What was done is a start, but it wasn't the same as what we did last week, where we had multiple data points for the same video. So let me make sure that everyone is understanding what the difference and what we're looking for, what we need. So Mariana, you want to pull up what you just shared in terms of the timestamps?
Yes.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think what our team did is a little closer to what you wanted.
Okay, you want to present what your team did, and then we'll be able to see the difference.
Yeah, I hadn't put together the matrix yet, but we all have the same. Oh, where did I? Yeah, so we had this where we went through the entire video and pulled out. So we would put this into the matrix. I just hadn't been able to do that yet today. So we did the entire video, and then chose the sections that we wanted.
Okay, so you have the multiple data points for the same video. You just haven't done the correlations yet.
Yes.
Okay. So, Mariana, do you want to pull up what you were sharing? And I want to make sure that everyone is really getting this distinction, because again, from us doing the matrix last week, I thought it was really clear that you were going to go through a similar process this week. So I want to understand what got lost in translation there, especially with it, being both you, Maria, and Mariana, that, apparently it wasn't clear, and I'm trying to figure out where we got lost in translation on it. You want to share something, Mariana?
Yeah, should I open the document again?
Yeah, open the document again and share whatever you'd like to say. It looks like Maria is frozen at the moment, but yeah, let me understand, what happened here. So Sabah is going from 3:37 until where, so
20
to 22. And so then from 22 on is when Johnny starts.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and he starts at 31, and then he goes until
30,
30,
38.
38,
Mhm.
and then Mariana starts at 58.
Yeah, 55.
Oh, 55, I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
my eyes.
And I go until 1:16.
Uh-huh,
And then Maria started 1:34
yeah,
until, yeah.
got it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, so each of you have done basically a quarter of, the work that I was essentially asking for, that Katie and her team did, which was to go through the whole video and mark the timestamps. This is where I want to now also compare, our hours and our time tracking with the work that got done, because I want to understand like how much time each of you put into this process this week, and then understand like what was left over from your pledged time, to be able to know, like, did we use all of our time, right? So if we go into the time tracker for Mariana and Maria and Sabah and Johnny, let's see. Okay, so this is this week. So let's go back to last week of November 1st. Yep. Okay. So, now looking at the actual hours. So Sabah, Maria, Mariana, Johnny, I don't see any actual hours in the actual hours column. So is it over there in the days column? It's just not added up? Okay.
Yeah, my actual hours was the ones that I put like in here. So the ones that I really took, so I can put them
Okay.
in here.
Okay, perfect. So perfect. So you've got your 2 hours that you've specified.
Yeah.
Okay, great, into the processing. Okay, great. And then Maria, is that 2 hours on Wednesday the actual for you? Is there more actual hour, or is Maria with us still, or is she frozen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great.
I got to come with my phone. Yeah, that is from Wednesday. Yes.
So did you have more hours into that one video, or just the 2 hours in that one video, and then any hours into the other video?
Just those two. Yeah. Those. Oh, yeah. Yeah. For those two videos, it was 2 hours total.
Now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that the 212 and 239 video, those are different videos than what we just were looking at, right? We were just looking at an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
That is from last week.
okay, so it really should say the hour and 15-minute video, right? Or whatever that video, is that how long it was? Something like that?
Yeah. Oh,
Or
so.
hour and a half video.
Oh, because I think that you have to go to the other sheet, week of November 8th, right?
Oh,
Yes.
you put it into the week of November 8th. So, okay, so even though this was assigned last week, it's on our new week. If you go to week,
Yeah. Yeah. I
can you
think that
click on it?
everyone put it there.
Can you click on it to see? Okay, so the one video processing now. Okay, so there is where you have, well, you've got Monday and Tuesday. The rest of them aren't filled out yet. Well, okay, so let's go back, because you've got Monday and Tuesday for this video, which is fine. But I also want to be able to look on the time tracker. So let's go back to week of November 1st to look on the time tracker to see, what the total is from all the hours last week. So Maria, going back, you had 2 hours on Wednesday for that one video. Did you have any other hours on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday for that other video?
No.
Okay.
I worked on this video yesterday, basically.
Okay, got it. So it's zeros for the rest. So Mariana, can you add that in? Yeah. And then for the 212 video, was there any hours last week on that video, Maria?
Yeah, it was the same. Exactly as because the 2 hours were like the total hours that I used for both
The total
videos.
for both? Okay, so
Yeah.
Mariana, can you divide that 2 into 1 and 1? And then, yeah, 1 right below it, and then zeros for the others. So I'm going through the
Yeah,
whole
sorry about that.
process. I'm going through the whole process with everybody because I want you guys to see this is what we're going to do this week, and we're not going to do it in the meeting next week. We're going to do it in advance because everybody's going to be doing it all the way along. And so now, yeah, Mariana, can you put in the actual hours there for Maria, 1 and 1 for those two? And so again, we can do the same thing with Johnny and we can do the same thing with Sabah. We're not going to do it right now because I want to then compare this. So we have Maria, you have 2 hours in processing, and Mariana, you have 2 hours in processing. So then when we go to our hours for the week and how many hours you were anticipating having available for the team. So yeah, can you pull up our team hours somewhere as well?
Yes.
Then this is where it should match in terms of that you had 2 hours available for the week each, but I think you each had something quite a bit more, and that's where again I want to make sure that we're doing all the things there are to do, and if there's anything else that you guys were working on in addition to the processing, then we need to get that into the time tracker too, so we can see what that was, right? We need to be able to see all of the hours, all of the everything, so that we know how everything is matching up. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yes. So
You can put you can put actually team hours. It's not the time tracker, it's the actual team hours that we want to look up. Yeah, the top one, I think.
okay.
Yeah. And so we'll go to last week of 11/1. Okay, so again, so Maria, you had 10 hours available, and Mariana, you had 7 hours available. So, with 2 hours for the processing, then where did, what did you work on with the other hours? And you don't have to answer me now, but I want you to be able to go back in and add more things to the task tracker if there are more hours that you put in. And if there weren't more hours that you put in, then we need to make sure we don't have such a gap, this week, not just for you guys, for everybody. I'm just using you guys as the example because we already had it there. But this is where you can stop sharing now, Mariana.
Right.
This is where, especially now with us being in this critical mode of having to take all that we've done this semester and get it online and do all of this work, like whatever gets pledged this week. And let me show you guys, because, this is again where this is where, last week of 11/1. So since we were combined, if we combine the research, the production, and the outreach team, that's 35 hours that were pledged to the team. And, what you guys just showed me in terms of how much video got processed was, I don't know, yesterday, Maria, you estimated maybe 20 hours, but I'm not sure it's even that. So to have 65 hours available, and let's say it's 20, let's say it's even 30, that we did 30 hours a week as a collective team last week, that's still only half or less than half of what we said we would do or what we said we could have done, right? And right now, if you guys could put in all of those hours, we can't just leave them and not, have them used for something. We need to maximize the use of our hours. So this is where this week, starting from the very beginning, every day, we all have to be very disciplined about, the hours that we're putting in and tracking them and making sure that we're all getting our hours in so that we can make sure we can get the most done that we can this week. So I want to make sure everyone is really tuned into that, because that's the number one thing for us to do. And I know we've been getting better and better, and I And I'm very happy the better and better that we're getting. And this is the next better level we need to get to this week as a team. Do you guys see that? Do you guys see that this is our next step as a team, to be really tuned into the hours and really making sure that we're, you know, on top of it and we're not falling behind and we don't have 20 or 40 hours to make up in the last couple of days, like we're doing work along the whole week and we're getting things done and all of that. So is everybody on board with that? Can I get a thumbs up from everybody? Everybody's on board with this, and we're all going to take this on, you know, for ourselves and for everybody this week. Oh, there's 2 Marias now. Okay, that's why I wasn't seeing another thumb. Okay, great. Thank you all. I appreciate you guys being on board with that. And I really appreciate the evolution, you know, and I don't want to be, you know, critical about this. I've been, you know, leading by example, and this is the example I've set, and it's been natural that you guys would follow that lead. Now we have to set a new example. We have to set a new lead, and we're doing it like we talked about in the executive team meeting. So I know you guys in the executive team already heard this. We're setting the example. I'll call on you in a moment, Alexis, if you want to say something. What we're going to be doing, you know, for the students coming in is we're going to be showing them how things are done, right? And we're going to be creating the model for them and creating the example for them, right? And so this is where we're at, you know, now to be able to do that is to get really good at this, teach others how to be really good at this, and then the whole next semester and going forward, they'll automatically just be good at this from the beginning, and think of how much more we'll be able to accomplish as a team, you know, going forward like that, and all we'll be able to do like that. So I see what Renasia was just asking in terms of we're not focusing on vaccine considerations anymore, right? I just want to be sure. So yeah, so to answer your question about that, Renasia, what we're doing is we're packaging, and that's where we're spending our time right now, packaging all of Vaccine Considerations Project and presenting it on the website. So we actually are, in a sense, focusing on Vaccine Considerations Project still, because we're taking all that we've done and putting it up in a way that the world can see that it can't see right now. So this is essentially like production presentation, you know, we're all kind of participating in this right now, as well as mentoring and creating tutorials and all of that, so that the Vaccine Considerations Project, any of the work that we've done, can continue and anybody can pick up the ball and run with it. And any of you could, you know, do a separate internship or a practicum or whatever on a specialized topic using the Vaccine Considerations Project, or somebody else can. So that's where we're at with it specifically. So does that answer your question, Renasia, or is there any other details about that you have questions about? You're good? Okay, great. So yes, so, well, I think I've said everything that I want to say. Is that, you know, what we'll focus on this week is we'll focus on packaging and presenting everything. And we're also preparing for the grand showcase, as we've talked about. So in it's going to be, it's December 2nd. So that's four weeks from today, right? Or is that 4 weeks from last week? It's 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today will be the grand showcase. And we talked about it last week. So we've already had a week gone by. We haven't necessarily made a lot of progress in terms of showing our work, but that's where, you know, we were really going to get on that. And also knowing that we have Thanksgiving in between, we're really going to get on this now to make sure that we're really putting stuff up on the web, like right away. Like I'm going to start to create new web pages and start to create the holding spaces so that you guys can say, here's the final, you know, polarized analysis. Here's the final minorities analysis. Here's the final this, here's the final that. And we'll keep posting all of these things on the website along with videos, minutes, etc., so that everybody can see everything. Okay, so that's what we'll actually be like doing within the next week. And then the other part, as we said, is some of this processing. And I'm going to give you less video processing because I want, you know, more of the other things to get done. But if we actually, you know, maximize our hours, and that's the other part I wanted to mention. Last week, we had 65 hours, 66 hours between the 3 teams. And this week, we have 27 and 29, so that's 56. So we have like 10 hours less this week. So almost 20% less, which is fine. I know you guys are busy and everything is fine that there's less hours, but it just shows that with less hours, we really need to maximize our hours, right? But when we get 55, 56 hours done this week, we'll get a lot done. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get some processing done. We're going to get the presentation done. And we're just going to make sure, and I'm relying on each of you, Mariana, Maria, and Katie, really relying on all of you, but especially you guys as the leaders, to make sure that by the end of the week that we've gotten all of those hours accounted for somewhere in the time tracker, because we've gotten all of those hours, actually applied in some way to the project and it's tracked within the time tracker. So are you three on board for that? Good with that? Are we going to we'll be there by next week? Yeah. Okay, great. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you guys taking that on, because this is the big next step we need to take as an organization in order to really be effective with what we're doing. So that's awesome. Let me, go ahead and give claps all around for everybody and all you've been doing. I know sometimes it's challenging when, it can be uncomfortable a little bit at times to take a look and all of that, but I really appreciate you guys being willing to be part of the process and being open and vulnerable and showing that we're all growing and that we're all, doing our best and we're getting better every week. So I really honor and appreciate that. Alexis, I saw your hand go up for a moment. Did you want to say something or have a question?
Yes, I did have a question. I know you said that we would be doing like our own different like projects. So for example, like say if I'm sorry about this one. For example, like give me one.
Maybe I can start to answer your question and see if I get it from the little bit you shared. So the own separate projects. So first of all, anything that needs to be done to satisfy your competencies, we need to make sure we squeeze in somehow. So that's what Katie was mentioning, and Katie and Tatiana are on top of that. Are you able to talk again, Alexis? Do you want to finish your question?
A second. Yeah, he's just talkative tonight. I'm sorry, but what I was saying was basically I just wanted to know when would we start that. So say for example, if I wanted to continue on with doing like research with the children getting the vaccine, would I have to like just start doing it like on my own? Like say if I was to start tonight gathering my research, like would I do it as in like a presentation, or would I do it as like a Google Doc how we've been doing?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, it's a perfect question. So again, the first question I have with that is, do you need to get something done to satisfy your practicum requirements? Because if you still have practicum requirements that need to be satisfied by doing something like that, then that is a priority that needs to be balanced with the others. And so we essentially need to do like a projection of how much time you'll need between now and the end of the project, and somehow divide that up over the number of weeks that we have, and then work with Katie and the others on the team to be able to, depending upon what well, I guess we're staying combined, so it's working with all the team leaders to really decide how we're going to allocate your hours to make sure that you're going to get your practicum requirement done, that you're going to get prepare everything for presentation and get it presented, and then that you're also going to be processing videos. So that's where the team leaders are going to have to figure out the balance to make sure that everything's getting managed. And so again, if it's a practicum requirement, yes, it's in there between now and the end of the semester. If it's not a practicum requirement, it's just something that you'd like to do and you've already fulfilled the requirements for research and that sort of thing, then it is essentially like bonus. Like once we get the everything packaged up, like that's the priority otherwise, so that's there and ready, and we can move out of the house, so to speak, with everything packaged up. So, and then the video processing as well is going to be again dependent upon your load and all of that. So let's just start with communicate. Make sure you clearly communicate. Everybody, make sure you clearly communicate what your practicum needs are that Katie is already collecting, and also like we talked about that the business team is collecting, Tatiana is collecting, so that I can tune in and find out what else needs to be done by anybody, you know, at any time. And then with that, the team leaders will help, you know, allocate tasks to you and hours to the different things based on, you know, what you have left and what you've got available in terms of time. So does that answer your question, and do all of the team leaders understand that clearly as well? Okay, great. And so does that answer your question, Alexis, or do you still have questions?
No, that was all I had. I just know, so I just wanted to be like clear because I was gonna start like working on it tonight because like you said, we have you know, finals and everything that's coming up also. So I wanted to get like at least the heavy research part done, like out of the way. So it's
Yeah.
like I can just so I could just basically towards the end, I can just really put everything together as far as like presentation, like PowerPoint wise.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to be, because I feel like that's what a lot of my hours could also come from. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I feel like that's where a lot of hours can come from also if they have to do something similar.
you have to do something what?
I was saying that I think that's where a lot of my remaining hours will come from.
Right.
Research for that, and then along with the things that I have to do for the team also.
I'm trying to remember, Alexis, I apologize, I don't remember off the top of my head. The research that you're talking about, is that part of one of your competencies that we talked about, you doing that as part of the fulfillment of the competency?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Also, I know I sent it to Katie yesterday, the only one that I was missing. It was something like it was something to do with basically like a public health, like some type of a, not a project exactly, but something in that sense. Because I know, for example, like people that's already have done their practicum, for the following semester, like your last semester, you have to do like some type of a proof of like a project that you worked on. So I just figured me doing like, I was very interested when we did the things about the kids and the vaccine. So I figured maybe if I keep it with that, then it would also show like a reflection of the vaccine considerations project also.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see what Renasia wants to share, and then I'll see how we can address that.
I was just about to back up what Alexis was saying. I know we have to have a 40-page portfolio of 40 pages. So it's a lot. So I understand what she's saying. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know, our team leaders know that we have to literally have 40 pages of work that we've actually done, whether it be from the beginning when we did the infographics and things of that nature, when we did the analysis, stuff like that. Like she has to have proof of it. So
yeah, it's great that you're saying that, and maybe even more, all the more reason to front load the packaging, so you know how much work you have done already and how much you have yet to do still. But also, I do understand what you're saying, Alexis, about spreading, you know, the research out over time and getting that done as well. I think what I'm going to do, because I know we could keep talking about it, but I think it's really going to be a matter of tuning into the details. Katie, in particular, as the research team leader, because this is really research stuff that you're talking about. So I think, you know, for each of you to make sure that you're in close communication with Katie about what needs to get done and estimating hours and mapping hours out over the weeks. And then I think I feel pretty confident that Katie will be able to manage the time allocation between all the different things to make sure that everything's getting managed appropriately. Do you feel confident about that, Katie, that works for you?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so, and Renasia and Alexis, do you feel good about leaving it in where you'll be in communication with Katie and you'll work together to get done what needs to get done? Thumbs up from Renasia. Okay, great. And Alexis, it'll be towards production team also. Okay, so part of it will be with Katie and part of it will be with Maria. So Maria, do you also feel confident in being able to work with Alexis and Renasia to make sure that as we're allocating hours, that appropriate hours are getting allocated to what they need to finish up for their practicum requirements?
Yeah, sure. Mhm.
Okay, great. So let's leave it at that for now. Thank you, Alexis, for the claps. So let's leave it at that for now. And I'll just, mention, that if any of you are having any challenges, that you feel like there's any challenges in communication or any concerns that things aren't going to get done, or any concerns or challenges about anything, please, send me a message to let me know as soon as you're able to, so I can be on top of it sooner rather than later, before we get to some kind of emergency situation where we're running out of time and we're not able, we're addressing this early enough that let's make sure that we're all on top of it. And if there's anything that's, anybody has any questions or concerns, then definitely send me a message as soon as you have any concerns or questions. So does that sound good? Can we all agree to that as well? Thumbs up from all 4 of you on that. Okay, great. And Alexis, okay, perfect, awesome. Okay, great. So, well, we're already almost at 7:30, and I think we've covered just about everything we want to cover. Is there anything else that the team leaders want to cover tonight?
I guess I just want to go over real quickly what we need to do for the week, just so you have a good.
Yes, let's do that. Let's define our assignments.
Yes. Okay. So number 1 priority is doing the packaging of the teams. So yeah, go through and find all you've done and put that together. And jumping off of that, give me a list of what you still need to get done, specific projects and competencies, so I can give that to Tatiana. Okay, we're also going to continue processing videos. And lastly, be sure to stay on top of the time tracker for this week and make sure your hours add up in that document. And I think that's it.
Perfect. That's great. Maria, Mariana, anything that you guys want to add?
Yeah, for me, that they also send me their expectancies of like what we have to work on. So yeah.
Yeah, great. In particular, the competencies that are going to involve the production team, send those to Maria as well. Perfect. Thank you for specifying that, Maria. Great. And anything, Mariana, that you want to add?
No, I think everybody said everything. I just want to thank the whole team. And if anyone has any questions, please let us know how we can help.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Mariana, for saying that. I really appreciate that. So Renasia, Alexis, anything else that you guys want to share or cover before we wrap up?
No.
Nope. Okay, great. All right. So I think it's appropriate that we end with another round of applause for everyone on the team. We're doing really great job of really working through these topics and issues and setting up our systems and all the things that you guys are doing. I, want to honor and appreciate what we're doing and the progress that we're making, and definitely, all the great feelings that we talked about in terms of feeling more like a team and operating more like a team, and me being able to step back. It's all awesome, and I only expect that to get better. So I'm glad that we're choosing to keep the combined team. I'm excited to keep seeing, what you guys keep doing as a combined team. So yay, combined team. You guys are doing great. You're taking it to new levels. We're pushing into new frontiers every week. So great job, team. Go team. Have a great week. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Good night. Bye.